Could the world's largest aircraft carrier become a dominant force in the future? From the great battleships of the past to modern times, could it become a thing of historical significance? With the increasing cost of building and maintaining aircraft carriers and the technological advancements that have occurred in the field, does it make sense to keep them operational? It's a controversial question, but did the aircraft carrier replace battleships? For over 100 years, battleships served as the core of navies all around the world. These massive ships were very powerful and seemed to be very resilient to smaller ships. The myths about the potential demise of battleships were soon debunked by major engagements, such as the Battle of Jutland. During this battle, the British lost several battlecruisers and battleships. Eventually, the two behemoths would finally meet in a battle using aircraft technology. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, many U.S. battleships were destroyed by a massive torpedo and dive bombers from Japan. This ended the notion that battleships were superior. Although the USS Oklahoma and USS Arizona were the first battleships to be sunk by hostile aircraft, they weren't the first ones to be attacked and destroyed by airborne forces. In 1921, the German battleship, the German Ostfriesland, was sunk during air trials, demonstrating the potential of airborne attacks. Although the tests were conducted to demonstrate the potential of airborne attacks, many military observers were not pleased. The test's creator, General Billy Mitchell, had urged for a change in thinking for a long time, but his warnings have reportedly fallen on deaf ears. During the Battle of Midway, the aircraft carrier emerged victorious. From 1942 to 1944, it participated in numerous sea battles. These massive ships proved their worth once again. It's not surprising that it can take years to build an aircraft carrier due to the complexity of the hardware involved. Most carriers can take around 5 to 6 years to build, while some take longer. The Nimitz-class carriers typically take around 6 years to build. The HMS Queen Elizabeth, which was commissioned in 2007, started sea trials in 2017. India gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier after 17 years of work. Although, now with the current capabilities, India can now make aircraft carriers in about 7-8 years. Despite the various achievements of the carriers over the years, many military officials are starting to question their relevance. A new study conducted by The Diplomat claims that the U.S. Navy's future depends on the future of the carriers. The study, which also looked into the future of carrier operations, suggests that orders for the new Ford-class carriers have significantly decreased. Thomas Maudley, who was one of the study's members, said during a press briefing that the future of the carriers was a major focus of the study. The study's members noted that the country's long-term challenges require hard decisions and clear-eyed assessments. As the U.S. Navy has 4 new Ford-class carriers under contract, we have time to rethink what comes next. The study's members also noted that the country's long-term challenges require a comprehensive assessment of the various factors that affect the development of a naval force. These include the cost of building ships, the need to sustain an industrial base, and the evolution of the nation's maritime strategy. The goal of this study is to analyze the various advantages and disadvantages of unmanned and manned aircraft. It will also look into the potential cost benefit of nuclear and conventional power systems. Concerns about the immense investment needed to build these types of carriers and the rising threats they could face are likely to put the future of these systems in doubt. In addition, China is reportedly developing a new long-range missile that can be very accurate and maneuverable. This could put carriers at risk. According to reports, the DF-12D can travel at speeds of up to Mach 6. If China were to deploy hundreds of these missiles, it would greatly affect the operations of naval forces in the region. Even if China were to deploy these missiles, carriers would still need to operate at least 620 miles from the shore. This would severely limit their effectiveness since their combat range is limited. Even though carriers are primarily about offense, they also play a vital role in maintaining and supporting naval forces. This makes them unlikely to become obsolete. One area where carriers could still be relevant is by equipping them with unmanned aircraft. These relatively cheap and lightweight planes can stay in the air for long periods of time, which is very advantageous for carriers. These types of aircraft can also be used in more risky and longer-range operations, which allows carriers to stay out of harm's way. One of the most prominent examples of this type of aircraft is the X-47B, an unmanned aircraft that can land and take off from an aircraft carrier. This type of aircraft could eventually be used in the wings of carriers. Over the years, aircraft carriers have been around, and they are still very powerful war machines. They are also capable of carrying out other tasks not just related to the ship itself. Over the years, the basic concept of aircraft carriers has not changed. They have evolved to accommodate different types of aircraft, such as the first biplanes and modern aircraft. Why can't carriers just replace their aging fleets with more drones? They need to adapt to keep up with technological changes in order to remain relevant. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below so you never miss our future content. Until next time, stay awesome!